Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
A small Midwestern town lying asleep in the moonlight of midnight. Could anything be more familiar, more peaceful, more safe? Certainly not. Unless Ray Bradbury is writing about it. For his is a typewriter of terror. And once again, it has pounded out a tale not only calculated to keep you in suspense, but likely to cost you a night or two of sleep. Listen then as Miss Agnes Moorehead stars in The Whole Town's Sleeping, which begins in just a moment.
How does our nation honor heroism? One way is to award the Soldier's Medal, a bronze octagon on which is displayed an eagle standing between two groups of stars. The medal is suspended from a blue ribbon with 13 narrow stripes in the center, 7 white and
a ravine. In the town, the sidewalks were still scorched. The stores were closing and the streets were turning dark. Screen doors whined their springs and banged. And there was the sound of Grandma Hanlon's hammock creaking across the street. On her solitary porch, Lavinia knit. Age 37, very straight and slim, sat waiting.
Here I am, Lavinia.
Lavinia turned. There was Francine at the bottom porch step, all in snow white.
I won't be a minute, Francine. I just have to lock the door. All right. I do like your dress, dear. Why, thank you, Francine. You look so well in that color. I'm afraid I can never wear it. It makes me look sallow. Oh, no, it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't. Of course, I've always loved you in white. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, Mrs. Harmon. Good evening. Well, where are you ladies going all dressed up so pretty? To the movies, Mrs. Hanlon. It's William Holden tonight. You won't catch me out on a night like this. Not with the lonely one, strangling women. Lock myself in with my gun. That's what I'm going to do. I wouldn't worry, Mrs. Hanlon. Oh, you wouldn't you? What about Eliza Ramsel? You think she's not worrying? I'll lock myself in with a gun. That's what you ladies should do. So silly. Silly old woman. Hasn't got anything better to do than scare herself with rumors and gossip. Well, just the same. Hattie McDowell was killed a month ago. And Roberta Ferry the month before. And now Eliza Ramsel disappeared. Eliza Ramsel walked off with a traveling salesman, if you ask me. But the others... Oh, Frank. Oh, Francine.
They reached the edge of the ravine that cut the town in two. Stood there. Behind them were the lighted houses. Ahead, deepness, moistness, fireflies, and dark. The ravine had to be crossed to reach the movies. Deep and black as it cut through the hills, and a creaking bridge to cross over the stream, and then 113 steps up the steep and brambled bank to the other side. The ladies stood there looking down.
I just hate to think of you coming back alone tonight, Lavinia. Oh, bosh. I do wish you didn't live on this side of town. Don't you get lonely living by yourself in that house?
Oh, maids love to live alone. Come on, we'll take the shortcut.
I'm afraid even in the dusk. The ravine scares me.
Oh, come on. Don't be so silly. I'll hold your hand.
Lavinia, cool as mint ice cream, took her friend's arm and led her down the dark, winding path into the cricket warmth and frog sound and mosquito-delicate silence.
Let's run. Lavinia, please.
No, why should we?
If Lavinia hadn't turned her head just then, she wouldn't have seen it. But she did turn her head and it was there. Back among a clump of bushes, half hidden but laid out as if she'd put herself there to enjoy the soft stars, lay Eliza Ramsel. Her face moon-freckled, her eyes like white marble. And then Francine saw it too, and the women stood on the path for a frozen second, not believing what they saw. Then the police came and dotted their flashlights around the shadows of the ravine. And Lavinia held on tightly to the shuddering Francine. And the night night grew toward 8:30. You didn't move her, lady?
No, of course not.
Oh, no, we didn't touch her. How could we?
And you didn't hear anything unusual?
No, nothing.
It's the lonely one, isn't it? The lonely one did it, didn't he?
Oh, I couldn't say, ma'am.
We knew her. She was a friend of ours.
I'm sorry, that's too bad. I'll have one of my men walk you across the ravine.
Oh, that won't be necessary. Thank you very much. We'll be all right.
Lavinia?
Come along, dear.
I've never seen a dead person before.
Come on, it's only a little after 8:30. We'll pick up Helen and get on to the show.
The show? Lavinia, you don't mean
Of
it.
course I do. We've got to forget about this. There's no good brooding about it. Now, if we hurry, we won't miss too much of the first scene.
Well, I thought you'd never come. You're an hour late. Well, Helen, you see...
Someone found Eliza Rangel dead in the ravine.
Oh, no. Who found her?
Well, we don't know.
How awful. Oh, I don't think we'd better go to the show tonight.
Oh, of course we will. The last showing today, and I wouldn't miss William Olden for the world. Besides, the lonely one can't kill 3 ladies all at once, and anyway, it's too soon. The murders come a month separated. Come along, Helen.
Well, all right. I'll get a sweater. Wait for me. Why didn't you tell her about us finding Eliza?
Well, why upset her? Time enough tomorrow. Tonight we're going to the show, so let's not talk about it anymore. Enough's enough.
The ladies walked downtown and stopped at the drugstore, which was a few doors from the theater. Lavinia bought a quarter's worth of green mint shoes, and the druggist dropped the mints into a sack with a silver shovel.
You looked mighty cool this noon, Miss Lavinia, when you was in. So cool and nice, somebody asked after you.
Oh?
Man sitting at the counter. He watched you walk out and he says to me, "Hey, who's that?" Just like that, he says it. "Why, that's Lavinia Nebbs, prettiest maiden lady in town," I says. "Beautiful, so beautiful," he says. Where she live?
You didn't give her address.
Well, now, I didn't give him the exact address. I said over on Park Street, near the ravine. Hope you didn't mind.
Well, that settles it. We're going straight home. That man asking for you, Lavinia. You're next. You want to be dead in that ravine?
Oh, nonsense. I'm not going to miss the movie. You two can do what you want. I'm going.
In the end, they all went to the show. Lavinia was like that. Cool, self-possessed, and persuasive. And when they came out of the show, the streets were midnight clean and empty as they walked Francine home.
Lavinia, Helen, stay here with me tonight. It's late. Mrs. Murdoch has an extra room.
No, thanks. I don't sleep well away from my own bed.
Please, Lavinia, please.
I promise I'll call you the very minute I get home.
Will you?
Yes.
Will you really?
Yes, I promise.
Now, Helen, you make a promise to call you, too. I will. Good night.
Good night.
And please be careful.
Now, I'll walk you home, Helen.
Well, I don't suppose it's any use asking you to stay with me, Lavinia.
There's no reason for me to.
You've certainly acted strangely all evening.
I'm just not afraid, that's all. And anyway, the lonely one wouldn't be around. Not now with the police discovering Eliza's body and all.
Oh, I feel so guilty. I'll be drinking a cup of coffee just about the time you get to the ravine. Oh, that awful bridge in the dark. Oh, you will call us the minute you get home, won't you? I won't sleep a wink if you don't.
I promise you I'll call. Now, good night.
Good night.
Lavinia Nebbs walked down the midnight street, down the late summer silence. She saw the houses with their dark window. And far away she heard a dog barking. She thought to herself,
in 5 minutes, I'll be safe home. In 5 minutes, I'll be phoning Francine and Helen. That's so silly. Like old hens. Old, I'm older than either of them.
she heard the voice singing away among the trees, and she walked a little faster. And then coming down the street toward her in the dimming moonlight was a man.
Well, look who's here. What a time of night for you to be out, Miss Ned.
Officer Kennedy. Oh, I'm so glad it's you.
Anything wrong, Miss Ned?
No, nothing at all. I'm just glad it's you.
You know you shouldn't be out so late.
Yes, I know. I've been to the movies. The Late Show.
Well, I'd better see you across the ravine.
No. Stand sure I can make it fine.
Moon's going to be behind the trees. It'll be pretty dark.
Well, I'm not afraid of the dark, Mr. Kennedy.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Yes, quite sure. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll wait here till you're across. If you need help, just give a yell and I'll come running.
Oh, thank you. Good night.
Good night, Miss Nebbs.
As Lavinia walked on, she thought,
I won't walk in the ravine with any man. How do I know who the lonely one is? Could be anyone.
then the ravine. She stood at the top of the 113 steps that led down the steep brambled bank and across the creaking bridge. Then 100 yards and up through the black shadows to Park Street and home.
3 minutes from now, I'll be putting my key in the house door. Nothing can happen. Nothing.
And she started down the dark black steps into the deep ravine night, counting as she went.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And Lavinia walked down the steps, counting as she went.
16.
The ravine was deep. The world was gone. The safe world of people in bed.
21.
The locked doors, the house, the drugstore, theater, the lights. Everything was gone. Only the ravine existed and lived, black and huge about her.
32, 33, 34. Nothing's happened, has it? Not. Is there? 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 40. Remember that old ghost story you told each other when you were children? About the dark man coming into your house and upstairs in bed? And now he's at the first step coming up to your room. Now he's at the second step. Now he's at the third and fourth and the fifth step. How you laughed and screamed at that story. And now the horrid man is at the 12th step, opening your door. And now he's standing by your bed. There's the bottom of the step. And that. No, not. He's gone. He was waiting there. Oh, there's nothing. It's empty. Nothing. There's something on the bridge. You fool. That story I told myself. How silly. Shall I call Mr. Kennedy? Did he hear me scream? Or did I scream? Maybe I only thought I did. And he didn't hear me at all. I'll go back up. I'll go to Helen's and sleep there tonight. No, it's near home now. Don't be silly. Wait. Someone's following me. Someone's on the steps behind me.